Capital Hoops. Today we are with Rock Creek head coach. Coach, we appreciate you having us out here. I know I want to catch up with you. When I did the series a couple of years ago, Beyond the X's and O's, I didn't get to you, but I'm excited to pick your brain a little bit and just learn a little bit about Lafayette Dublin and his program, his past, and what you've built over at Rock Creek. So let's start off. Just tell me a little bit about your upbringing. Where are you from? I'm sure you played basketball in your day, but enlighten me.
So I'm originally from Silver Spring. I moved to PG County in the 8th grade. Been out here for the rest of my life. I attended Duval High School.
Okay.
Played there. JV my first year, varsity the next 3.
And when was that? When did you graduate?
I finished school in 2001.
Okay.
So sophomore summer league, they had me playing summer league with the varsity, but I ended up playing JV ultimately. Junior year, moved up and played and started in my senior, so on and so forth. So average high school basketball player, D3s when I finished. I ended up going to junior college. I went to Hartford Community College first.
Okay.
In Bel Air, Maryland.
Yep.
Played there my freshman year. Left, ended up going to Kansas, a junior college called Brown Mackie Community College in Kansas. Played there. Redshirted 1 year. We had a guy on our team by the name of Lee Benson, who was actually a pro. And so I didn't play that year. I watched because of all the talent they had on the team that year. Redshirted, worked out. The following year I played. By the time I finished, I had maybe 9 or 10 Division I offers, and I chose to come back home and play at Towson amongst the schools that I had at the time.
So it seems like you took some serious leaps going from.
Yeah, I hated the red shirt thing. I think kids today don't really realize how much it can really help you. I think a lot of people look at it as like it's a setback, like, oh, he redshirted me, I wasn't good enough. Pride gets in the way.
Yep.
But what I was really had to pay attention to, as I called a couple of my mentors, and they were like, listen, the glass isn't half empty, it's half full. I just had to look at it differently. Time to get bigger, stronger, mature. If I'd have played that year, we had Lee Benson, who had everybody in the country. We had several other guys. They had 7 guys with Division I off of that team and 1 pro.
Wow.
So minutes, I wouldn't have played. I'd have been miserable.
Right.
And it gave me time to get physically acclimated. Junior college, some people think junior college is like a step down. Like what the community has to realize is that some of those junior colleges have horses. Like those guys can play. Midwest is really big in junior college. We have a few schools out here that do well. PG now, the Butch, a couple other programs. But if you go out Midwest, a lot of those guys may leave, and you look at those Texas Tech rosters and those Kansas State rosters. Those guys come from junior college, and it's not always because they weren't as good. It could be grades. It could be SAT. It could be this individual had a kid. It's a number of things as to why guys take that route. But once you get there, you see, I was able to realize, like, these guys are horses. These guys can actually play. So I played the following year. I was 1 or 2 sophomores. The whole team was freshmen. We went all the way game before the national, going to the nationals, qualifying for the nationals. We lost to a team called Johnson City, which is in Kansas, who we had already beat twice. We kind of went there with that mentality. We were already going to beat them. They came back and beat us. The year I left, the Brown Mackie won the National Junior College Championship. They won the whole thing. All those freshmen. I played with 9 freshmen, 2 sophomores. They made their mind up. They had the player of the year. Oliver Lafayette, he went to Houston. He was putting up 40s. He was really good. He ended up playing with the Celtics. So, I don't really think people understand, there's no real straight path to get to where you're trying to go. So that was my route. I took the scenic route. So
when you redshirted 1 year there, and then another year of redshirt when you came back here.
I redshirted 1 year there. I played the following year.
Right.
Which was my sophomore year.
Right.
And then when I went to Towson, I played.
Oh, you were eligible immediately.
I was eligible immediately. Yes, I was eligible. You have to graduate. I got my associates. I left, and then I went played at Towson that year. And I ended up playing with Gary Neal.
Yeah.
He was in the NBA for 7 years. My buddy. I still talk to him now. So I was able to see, really what work ethic can do to help guys become pros. I was with it firsthand. Guys were going to parties, and he was like, "No, I'm going to work out." Like legit at 11, 12 at night.
And what were you doing?
Going to the party. Which is why I'm sitting here talking to you. It wasn't my path, But again, he took another course. He did it. I saw what it works. My best friend, been tight with since kids. I tell the kids I coach all the time, is James White. He's a McDonald's All-American.
Yeah.
And we're like this, And again, I can see the difference. McDonald's All-American, and then you have an individual who legitimately had to earn everything.
Right.
Not tall, 6'3", 6'4", but did something exceptionally well, shooting that is, and wasn't scared of the big shot and worked his way to get there.
That was from Newport, James White.
Yeah, from Newport, James White. Yep, Newport.
So were you back in the Newport gyms back in the day?
Watching them work out, but that was about all I was doing because, again, I was a late bloomer. Those guys, I mean, that was Rodney White, DeMar Johnson, James, I mean, they were.
Devontae Hill.
Yeah, oh my God, there were horses in there. Like,
Brewer,
yeah, he was in 8th grade back then. He was on the middle school team playing up.
I was in that gym a lot. I was in high school at the time,
Yeah.
and I remember going and watching DeMar Johnson weekly. Eric Wills was the point guard.
Yep, that whole team was
Yeah.
over there. Even Keith
Yeah.
Stevens was over there, you know. So that was basically Rock Creek and National before Rock Creek and National. Before they got started.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then I played at Towson and graduated from there, and then kind of got drawn into coaching through my mentor, who was Coach Artie Walker Sr., who the gym is named by Duval, who coached me. And I had never thought about coaching at all. It was not.
So when did that change? When did you start thinking about it?
What's funny is that the coach called me and said, "Hey man, you want to coach?" And I just said no, just that quick to my mentor.
When? You said this when?
As soon as I graduated college.
Okay.
I had just finished.
Yeah.
And I might have been home a month, and I don't know what possessed him or compelled him to call me, but he did.
He's talking about like a summer league gig or just like in general you want to coach?
Yeah, he just said in general you want to coach, and I
Okay.
was like, probably not, coach. You know, I got a job as a commissioner. I was like, I'm just going to enjoy getting money and live my life, you know. And he was like, I was done with basketball, you know. And now the route guys take, which I should have did if I really knew I was going to get into it, was take the graduate assistant route.
Of course.
And there's no telling where you'd be now. But, I mean, life happens that way for a reason, certain ways for a reason. But so he asked me to coach. I said no, like 3 times, separate phone calls. I'm good. So one day he just says, all right, man, come by and see me. You know, just come holler at me. You know, basically, he's my mentor. I went up there and talked to him because he helped me through a lot of my college when I called back, and I was stressed out about all this kind of stuff.
Right.
And so he said, long story short, he says his team is practicing their workout. So I'm watching the kids work out, you know, in practice. And the guy goes, you know, he goes, you know, I'll be right back, you know, and he kind of walks off and leaves me in there with the team. Before you know it, in there kind of running drills, talking, and you know, things like this. These are the kids. I didn't really know these kids.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just, I mean, that's not how you do it. You know, or this, that, and the other, so on and so forth. And before you know it, my next excuse was, nah, I can't do it. I fell in love with it, but I was like, my job's not gonna let me do it. You know, because I had crazy hours. I asked my job. The judge was like part of the. He was like, he went to Parkdale and he played, so he was like, go ahead. And I was like, oh, I don't have no choice now. I called, started coaching JV, went back to doing it. I went 1-18 that first year. I couldn't win 8
You were
games.
a head coach.
The head JV coach. Stepped right into the fire. First thing my coach said was, don't ask me any questions about what to run, and don't do anything I do. You run your own stuff, you become your own individual. And right now, to the day, I owe everything that I do because of him. I mean, I would sit on there and try to coach, and I thought that you had to yell at everybody, and I'm watching Bobby Knight films and all this kind of stuff, and that's just not how it works. I'm screaming at every kid, I'm veins coming out of my forehead, and I'm doing all this kind of, and he's over there sitting just like you are, just laughing with a smile on his face. I'm getting the crap beat out of me. Knight and Blade, Douglas, Wise, just routing me. Roosevelt, just everybody just beat me up.
1-18.
1-18, I kept
Who'd
saying
you
to myself, High Point.
Okay.
No disrespect.
Okay.
But High Point was, still remember it. Couldn't beat anybody else.
When
It
in
was
the
a
year?
championship
When
for us.
in the year?
Towards
When
the
in
end.
the year?
Towards the end.
Towards the end?
It was our championship. Our championship. One game. We went crazy. I mean, we stunk. And the thing was, is looking back on it, that's probably one of the most talented JV teams I could ever have.
Yeah.
And I couldn't win a game. I forgot who it was. I played somebody, and they ran a 1-3-1. It might have been Wise. I don't remember who the JV coach was at the time, and it looked like it was 6 guys out there. I didn't know how to draw up anything to tell the kids anything. I called timeout. First timeout I called, my assistant coach will tell you to this day. First time out I called, I didn't say nothing. I didn't know what to say. I mean, it was a lot of people. By the time I was thinking, and all of a sudden the referee was like, timeout over. I said, Jesus, it's moving fast. So, I mean, you know, it was a very rough first year. Studied my craft a little more because I'm competitive by nature. I mean, I'm an athlete. I played Division I basketball, so I played junior college. We had to overcome adversity. So for me, it was, I got to figure this out. And I started really watching guys do different things, and they probably don't even really know.
You mean coaches?
Coaches, yeah. Guys do different things in the area. I mean, I've watched guys who I consider legends or GOATs, Steve Turner's, the Mike Jones. They probably didn't even know I was watching from afar. I'd go watch their games, just try to see what they did differently. How do they talk to their kids?
When you say, so you're talking about how they interact with the kids,
Yeah,
body language, how they interact with
I
refs,
sit in the stands.
like non-X's and O's stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How are these guys winning?
Yeah.
You know, Brendan O'Connell, another one. We played them, their rivals. I watched my mentor. Okay, so I see how he does it. Well, let me see what they do differently over here.
Right.
I went to watch Blade, and Coach O was there, coach there, and I watch him do certain things, and this is, I'm still a JV guy. Rob Garner, I mean, he has taught me a lot, whether or not he knows it or not, you know, and I got a whole different story about him. I mean, I played him my first region championship, and I swept him in all regular season, first time. He beat the dog snot out of me in the playoffs.
This was when?
In 2000, when I was the head coach of Duval. My first year, 2012, 13 season.
Okay.
And I had AJ, and they're polite. I was loaded. I think we only lost, well, maybe 1 or 2 games. We played the first game of the season. And I thought we were really good then, you know. And then Mike Jones put it on me then.
What was the year that they lost to BCC at the buzzer beater?
The year they beat us.
Right. Mm-hmm. Were you there? Were you coaching then?
Yep. That was my second year. That was my second year when he won that. He had a really good team. He had Micah Till.
Yeah.
He was a problem.
Yeah,
for a big problem for everybody. I still have nightmares about that kid. So, I mean, but I watched those kind of guys and just trying to piece together. Then you got to find your own fit. You know, I watched John Thompson at Georgetown and different things, his old stuff, you know, and kind of took something from everybody.
When you say you watch, like you're watching YouTube videos of them play, I assume is what you're talking about, right?
Those coaches, yes, I'm watching of like Georgetown and things like that. I'm watching old YouTube videos of them. I'm going because Brent O'Connell's been a head coach longer than me.
Yeah, of course.
So Lou Howard, I'm going to watch these guys coach. Like legitimately pay $5. Well, we had a coach's pass then. Go in the games when I could because I was JV. You know, I sit up top. Yeah. I just watch. Every game that Duval played, I was assistant coach at Duval when we played. I was a JV head coach and a varsity assistant. So while I'm watching Coach Walker, I'm actually paying attention to what the other teams are doing to counter the stuff. You know, like, and I didn't take stuff from everybody, but I would see what he would say, and then I'd watch how a team would combat it. And, okay, what is he doing? I would even pay attention in timeouts to how coaches talk to their kids. You know, and no disrespect to Coach Walker, our huddle could be right here. I'm standing in the back looking at what O'Connell's telling his kids, you know, or how he's interacting with them.
Right.
When are the assistant coaches talking? Is he trusting his assistants? Is he letting them say anything? Or is it be quiet, y'all don't talk until I say so? Because some coaches are like that.
Yeah.
You know, and I can't ask them, let me come in your huddle.
Of course.
But, you know, I just pay attention in detail. And I think I took a little bit from everyone to get me to the point that I am now, and then I put together my own little spin on it. But I give credit when it's due. I mean, a lot of these guys, even coaching against guys like when I coach against these guys now, Rob Nickens, those guys were coaching when I was playing. You know, like, it may not mean a lot to the other guys, but coaching against Mike Jones and Steve Turner, wins and losses, is great. But for me, these guys I looked up to coming up. So just to actually coach against them, beat some of these guys, compete with some of these guys, it means a lot to me. You know, it just shows me kind of like progression, like how far you came.
Right.
Because I remember those guys giving me tidbits. I'll tell you a real life story, and I don't even know if Lou Howard remembers this. Lou Howard, I used to go to Georgetown basketball camp. I was in the 5th, 6th grade. Lou Howard was my camp counselor for like 2 years there. I don't even know if I've ever brought that up to him. I still remember the stuff he said back then when I was playing. And now you get to a point where you're coaching against these guys, you know, and things like that. It to them it may not resonate, but for me it's like playing against Michael Jordan and you were a basketball player.
And they probably have similar stories of dudes who were coaching camps when they were in high school. You know,
the Morgan Woo,
it comes full
etc.
Of course,
yeah, it comes full circle.
Yeah.
But I never thought I was going to be a coach. That was not in my plan for things to do at all. It was the furthest thing for me. That's just how God works, because you know He has a bigger plan for you than probably what I had for myself. There's no way I was thinking.
So let's talk about your coaching trajectory. You get that first job as the JV coach at Duval, and then take us from there.
Did 4 years as the JV coach, so I earned my stripes.
Yep.
You know, I didn't just walk into it. I won 17 games every year after that. I like that to be noted, because I took my lumps first year.
And this is out of what, 19 games?
Yeah, 19, 20 games. Yeah, 19, 20 games. I mean, we were, and once we figured it out, the only team that ever beat us like twice in the season was Bowie. Everybody else I had to split or beat them.
Yeah.
And the only other team that ever beat us was Roosevelt at the JV level. Now, I finished it 4 years there. Then Coach Walker retired. I stepped in and got the varsity job, which I was probably 23, and I didn't really know the full scale of things, like, the political side, you got to do with the parents and all that, but I caught on fast. And by the time I figured out it was organized, because a lot of people had the issue where is he too young, to give that kind of job to a 23? Is he going to be able to run a program without issues? And are the grades going to be fine? And the kids did outstanding.
And how long were you the head varsity coach?
There, 2 years. I did 2 years there.
So who were like the best players in the county during that time? Was this like Roddy Peters era?
Yep.
Okay.
Roddy Peters. So Roddy Peters went to Maryland. That year he left for Maryland. That's when I took over at Duval.
Okay.
So you got we had who did I coach against back then? Mike Till,
maybe Eleanor Roosevelt, Malachi Alexander, maybe.
Your boy Manuel Matei.
My boy.
Your boy Manuel Matei. My boy Manny.
Yeah.
He was playing. He was a point guard on that team.
Yeah.
Malachi was there. The top two dogs were us and Roosevelt. No close. Parkdale had the kid Kane Wilson. He was pretty good that year too. They were pretty good that year too, and I think that was of the main teams. Those are the ones that I know that I can think of offhand. I've been coaching for 12 years now, but offhand that were like really good teams that we used to battle against.
So 2 years at Duval, and then
I went to Thurgood Marshall Academy in D.C.
And how did that come about?
So when I ended up leaving Duval, I was trying to find a different area that had allowed you to play more games. The county gets 22 games.
Yeah.
It's so I wanted a little more wiggle room, because I said if I could recruit, I could always probably put myself on a different platform. If I could ever just give free reign to get players. And in PG County, you can't. They live within the 3-mile radius.
Yeah.
Unless you find a caveat.
Yeah.
That's all you have to deal with. And Duval wasn't a feeder for basketball teams. They went to Roosevelt, Bowie at the time. Those were the main schools that a lot of the kids went to, Wise. So essentially.
But what did Thurgood do to offer that? Like what?
That's what I was going to say. So in DC, how the charter school works, or DCSAA, you can get any kid in the district, anywhere.
Based off of?
I was
any
in charter
factor?
School, any factor. Where they live, they could go. All they had to do was apply.
So they like the basketball program there, I'm going there.
Yep. If they like the coach there, they can go. I could get a kid from Chavez, I could get a kid from Wilson. Didn't matter. There was no boundaries. Charter schools engulfed everyone. Now, if I'd have took a job at Wilson or something, then I could only get area kids. I guess that's how it works for them. But for me, I could get anyone. So it still allowed me to recruit on a bigger spectrum. I had Mike Aiken, the Aiken brothers, who were really good at Savion, who's now at Buffalo. But I think that path showed me something a little different, too, because we won 20 games every year we were there. And I'm saying we because me and my assistant coaches have been with me since day one. So,
so when you're there, how many games a year are you playing other DC charters?
Oh, you get like 35 games there. Like DC.
And how many of them are set?
Maybe 16.
Okay.
Might have been 8 teams. Friendship Collegiate, because the charter school now is broken up into 2 divisions because they have so many charter schools in DC.
And when did charter schools come about? Like when was the charter school a thing?
I think Thurgood started in 2000. I want to say 2008 or 9, something like that.
Okay.
And charter schools basically are to give kids that can't afford private schools a private school setting and academic structure, because charter schools are much more. They go in tiers, A, B, and C. So the top tier ones, they go in tiers. The top tier ones, meaning they have the highest test scores, like your Thurgood Marshall Academies, which is tier 1. Those schools are tough academically. Okay. So still, I had to get kids that were able to do the work. You have to test them.
Yeah.
Those aren't the kind of schools that you can just come in and sign administration and go there. You have to test them. So once you get accepted through the lottery portion, but when the schools are under enrollment, everybody can get in pretty much that wants to go there. So then they got to test in. So I still had to recruit a certain kind of kid.
Right.
He had to be able to do the work. But still, I could get a kid all the way over in Northwest or Southwest. There's trains. We were right in front of the train station. So that was different. And the resources were different. We took charter buses to every game. They're like legit 65-seat passenger buses with TVs all on them. Everywhere. It was funded. So there were you talking about riding a cheese bus or having a driver? Right. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't even close. You don't even feel the bumps anymore like this. You're legitimately just laid out. Seats back. They had the seats to turn, the tables, the kids could play cards. Like, it was a heck of a selling point. So for me at the time, that's what it was. And back then, the charter league was really good. I mean, Chavez had Khalif Tate, Jacob Long. Man, listen, Bartley had just got the job at Montrose. I mean, at job at Friendship. And pretty much had the Montrose team there.
The Alani Moores.
They were loaded.
Who else was on those teams? I remember that game they won at St. John's.
Yeah, they were loaded. Yeah. Leon, I think it was, or one of the kids named Leroy Leon. He had bigs, he had size.
Yeah.
They were loaded.
Yeah.
So you take that team and then you go, okay, now I'm going to give you Pope over at Idea was loaded. He had Kyrell Green that's at Niagara. He had a load. Stefan that's at Morgan State now. They were loaded. So when I tell you, I missed when people say the Charlie League's down, it wasn't down when I was there. I missed all that. I was playing horses, getting my tail kicked by a few of them. You know, so I think Barley, first time in my life, that's the first coach that ever beat me 4 times. I never lost anybody 4 times in my life, ever. First time. And he did that.
In 1 year, you're talking?
In 1 year, he beat me 4 times. Now, we returned the favor.
Not many teams play each other 4 times.
Well,
maybe in your league now they do it.
Yeah, right. So they had, we lucked up and got them twice in the regular season, playoffs, going to the championship.
In the States?
In the States. They matched it. Second round. We both won our first round games. We go head to head in States. So instead of us getting Gonzaga, St. John's, which is, I don't know, lesser 2 evils, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We had them, you know, and kudos to him because he did a heck of a job that year. And then I did that, and then I did 4 years there, and one of my best friends was like, man, I think it's time that you try to move on.
Up the ante?
Yeah, like, because you stay at, he told me, his words were, I stay at jobs too long, like, and I never really thought about it like that. I'm just a loyal kind of guy, and he's like, you never even seen what else is out here. Like, you don't know what you can do on the highest level. You don't even apply for those kind of jobs. So he took my resume and redid it. I almost didn't even recognize it. I was like, whose resume is this? But it was mine. I mean, he had a point. He was like, look at what you've done in the 8 years that you've been coaching, 9, 10 years you've been coaching, and you're still there. Like, you don't aspire to do more? So once we had that talk, coincidentally, I heard whispers about Rock Creek. St. James was open. I think at the time, those were the 2 that were open because, not many of them open often in this area. That they don't already have somebody in place and things like that. Applied to both of them. I was blessed. Was offered pretty much both of them. And I just chose Rock Creek at the time. It was closer to where I lived, and I knew that the pastor there was, and by all means, St. James was still a great institution, a great place to be.
But it's far, and it's different.
It's other side of the world, different kind of kids you got to get. But I knew Rock Creek, we already knew the name because Chris Cole had made a name for it.
Yeah.
So when you start talking to kids, it sells itself, because you go Rock Creek and they go, oh, they had Jermaine's Player of the Year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, all Met Player of the Year. So, again, when I heard about it, I said, okay, well, let me put my name in the hat. And, the pastor there, he said, man, I got like 40 applications already in the first 2 days when they found out Chris Cole had got the college job because he left and took a Division I coaching job.
Yeah.
Once I put in for that, I went through the process back and forth with him and kind of back and forth with Hagerstown, trying to figure out which one I felt at the time was best suited for me. And it just so happened to work in my favor. Pastor agreed, I agreed, and that's how I ended up at Rock Creek.
So when you took the job at Rock Creek, is the basketball coaching job your lone responsibility there, or do you have more than that?
I was the athletic director there, too.
Okay.
So I just coached the basketball team, and I was an athletic director. So those were my 2 jobs at the time.
And you still have that title?
Yes, as AD there, yes.
So what do you do outside of basketball? Like, what does the AD responsibilities entail?
Well, at the time, we had like 8 sports.
Because Cole was in the same boat as you, right?
He did it too.
Because I remember when I interviewed him a couple years ago, he told me about, having to create, just the liaison between the coaches. And
absolutely. Buses, schedules, or vans, should I say, scheduling, referees, because we have like middle school, we have elementary, so we had all kinds of games, football, they run around chasing. We had middle school, we had elementary basketball, middle school basketball, and JV and varsity.
Right.
That alone is enough.
Yeah.
And starting out as an AD, I mean, that is work, because you still got to do it with the parents. Permission slips got to be done right, physicals, the whole 9. So that's what I did there in lieu of. And that was enough at the time to pay me that was like a full-time job there, that and coaching. So that's what I was doing at the time. So pretty much at the school every day. They usually want us to be in there to keep our kids in line.
And how long have you been at Rock Creek now?
This is on my second year. Just completed the second year.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
Right? I haven't-
Seems like more than that.
I know, right? Time flies.
So let's talk about the roster you inherited when you came in. Who were the holdovers?
Kid named Michael Pittman. That was it.
Really?
Yeah, that I can think of. Yeah.
Everyone else had graduated or just decided to transfer?
Cam and Karan. There were 2 8th graders that were going to the 9th grader. So no one significant at the time because they were JV kids. Actually, everybody was a JV kid. Had a couple kids there that played varsity that transferred out once I started bringing guys in. So that was it. Nothing really. I mean, Cole left at the right time. You know, it worked. I mean, he had seniors. He knew what he was doing.
Right.
You know, he probably had inkling that he was out. The smart man, you don't need to recruit because then you're lying to the kids because you're not going to be there. You know, so it makes sense. You know, he did the smart thing.
So there's a lot of pressure when you take over this job.
Absolutely.
Because you have a winning coach, a winning program that are used to winning, but now you're left with no kids. So what's the first thing you do when you get the job in terms of like personnel?
Call my staff first.
Okay.
You know, and let them know we got a job. We have a job.
So how many guys did you bring over with you?
Staff wise?
Yeah.
My whole staff. I've had the same guys with me pretty much the whole time. I don't really waver. It's pretty much been the same guys.
Yeah.
There are some good guys out here, but it's hard to come by. You know, a lot of good guys are already on staffs, and then you got to think location, and you can't pay everybody, and you're asking people to do a lot, so you kind of just take what you can get at times. But I've been fortunate. The guys that have been with me since day one have pretty much been with me the whole time, you know, and I've been blessed with a good staff. So once I told them that, I had to go get kids next.
So who are some of the big dogs you got that year?
Guy Fauntleroy.
Yeah.
Was the first piece I brought in. I was trying to get Zakir Williamson, who was with me now, but at the time...
Went to Wilson?
Yeah, he ended up going to Wilson, but I was recruiting him. I was picking up in the summer, you know, letting him work out with us because I wanted the kid.
Right,
you know?
right.
I mean, I needed some size.
Yeah.
He was young, things like that. So I had him. Let me think. I brought in, who was on that team? We kept the 2 twins, Cam and Karan, who now play Carroll.
Yeah.
We kept them. We had, I brought in James Gross.
Where did you find James Gross?
Through AAU Connect. Who said, hey man, you know, you seen James Gross? I didn't even know who James Gross was. When I went and saw him play, I knew who he was right after that, you know, so it didn't take long. I said, oh, and James was at Riverdale at the time. And he said he might be looking for a new home. Remember, this was the Lou Wilson transferring out.
Oh, James was, I didn't even
he
realize
was at Riverdale, yeah. He was leaving. So when the new coaches came, you know, I had already jumped on James Gross, met with the family, beautiful family. Mother helps us out, like a team mom, and so on and so forth. So I grabbed James Gross. That's great. I could fill that 3-spot kinda, 3-spot. We brought in
Milton Matthews.
Milton Matthews was my shooter.
What's his story?
You know, Milton Matthews went to Somerset Prep. That's a small charter school. How do I know charter school? Because I was coaching in D.C. at Thurgood.
Okay.
They said, man, it's a kid at Somerset Prep putting up 30s, man. Legit. I said, really? They said, man, I'm telling you, the kid's putting up 30s.
Okay.
So I said, well, Somerset Prep. I heard of the school, but I hadn't really heard of the program.
I've never heard of the school.
Yeah, so I was like, sure enough, peeked my head in the game. There's this kid firing up shots from all over the place. I said, this is a gold mine. Nobody even knows who this kid is. You know, like, I know that.
Mean, he's still maybe the best kept secret.
Yeah, legit. So I'm like, let me go talk to this kid. Buddy of mine.
And he's what year at this point? Freshman or sophomore?
Sophomore.
Okay.
He went to Wise his freshman year, actually.
Really?
Played JV there.
You learn something every day.
I'm telling you. So he left. I went and got him, spoke to him. He was able to come on. We grabbed a kid named Jalen, who Guy knew, that played at Duval. Okay. So he came over, and I had a kid named Jacob I got a call about that was actually supposed to go to Theodore Roosevelt.
Okay.
He had went to school in Montgomery County, but he was having boundary issues. So, you know, Rob kind of let me know he wasn't having boundary issues with me. So I went and grabbed him. He was our formidable big at the time, and he was a senior. And that pretty much rounded out the roster. I was probably about really 7 strong. 7 strong. We had some good guys that could help us off the bench, but 7 strong typically that year.
There seems to be so much turnover in your league.
Lastly, I apologize. Delani.
Right.
Delani came in like last minute, like right on time. That was a prayer answer.
Yeah.
So, but that was through another connection, and Delani completed that full circle of guys.
Right.
I'm sorry, go
Right.
ahead.
So it seems like there's so much turnover in your league. I mean, in high school basketball, like in itself, there's a lot of turnover. But in your league specifically, it seems like and in maybe the DCIAA too, but there seems to be more turnover than most. Why do you think that is? Why are kids why is Guy at Riverdale not with you anymore? Why are kids always on the move so much?
In my eyes, I think it differs. I think sometimes kids move for different reasons. Some say, I don't like the academic structure at this particular school. I want to try something else.
Yeah.
I don't like this coach. I'm not playing as much as I thought I would.
So opportunity. Or
Perceived
opportunity.
opportunity. Till you get there, and then he's
right.
not playing as much, or what he was told isn't really coming full tuition. Opportunity. So typically they move for opportunity. It's either because they're playing or they're not playing enough. Either they're not playing enough or they just don't get along with the coach. And nowadays it's sad, but parents will move kids just because they feel like, the system isn't conducive
Right.
for my son.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so parents will just snatch them. And nowadays you don't know. I mean, parents will say it's a kid will say it's a parent. If you really ask, no one really knows. I mean, honestly, I've never really encountered as much until I got into this league.
Yeah.
I've never had a kid leave my program. As much as I love Guy Fauntleroy, he's the first kid that's ever left a program I've ever coached. I've never had a kid transfer out. And the few that maybe left at the end of the year, or something like that, when most kids, like I give you an example, most kids I'll say, man, you should come play for me. Why should you play for me? I'll give them a rundown why, right? And they stay at that specific school. It never works out for the school that they're staying at because I target a certain kind of kid anyway. So I know if you're 9th or 10th on St. John's bench, for whatever reason, that's not going to change unless you go 3 or 4 inches over the summer. So,
but if you're a freshman, it's going to change.
Yeah, but I don't usually go after freshmen. If you look at my rosters, I'm more like Calipari. I go for one and dones. Usually the ones that are, as your senior coming up, you play limited minutes as a junior, son, you're not going to play that much as a senior.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's let's be realistic about it. You want an opportunity to play a national schedule, so on and so forth, and give you an opportunity to maybe get yourself in college, and I don't really, a lot of times I don't have to bother kids. When you run your programs right, they come to you. I don't really have to a lot of times go sit at people's games and look at a certain kid. Enough people will call me and say, hey man, I like what you're doing. Whether it's playing everybody and losing, but you're playing and competing.
Is there anything that's off limits in your mind or in coach mind when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to taking a player from another team? If a player from another team expressed interest in coming to you mid-season, are you faced at that point with any obligation to do anything, or where is the line drawn?
So,
because I know you're in a predicament somewhat.
I am.
You got to fill your team, but you got to kind of do the right thing, or what you perceive to be the right thing too.
It is a dog eats dog world.
Yeah.
I have learned that there's not a lot of loyalty when it comes to getting kids. I mean, I feel like as a coach, what I typically do is I'll reach out to the other coach. I've been around long enough, I'll just ask them, hey, look, coach, this is the situation. But I'll tell the kid, too, before.
I'm going to call the coach?
So if you can talk to him, or I can talk to him, if you're seriously considering it.
Right.
It's one thing to throw a filler out there.
Right.
But for you to be like, for me to just go and snatch a kid off somebody's team, I don't. Usually the parents have called me. I don't have to do that, Now, theoretically, let me say this. Coaches will tell you, I didn't know my assistants brought the kid here, right? As head coaches, we know everything that goes on in our program.
Yeah.
The kids got to talk to you because we deal with administration. Right. Now, I mean, assistant coaches go to administration to get them. So I know how the game is played now. At one point, I was too nice, meaning you leave guys, you don't bother them, but guys don't feel the same way about you. So I still operate differently because my mentor kind of taught me that's just not how you move. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you don't like me anymore, if the kid transfers, that's fine. But I had a text message that shows the whole thread. Hey, look, this is the situation. Whether you respond or not back to me, that's on you. And that's all I can ask. If my kid is thinking about going somewhere, just give me the decency to let me know first. I don't want to find out through other coaches.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
blindsided.
yeah, come on with that. You know, just be honest with me, because I've done enough for whomever it is. You can be honest. Whether you're the first kid on the team or the end of the bench, you're all still part of the program. I don't treat any kid differently. You know, they all have an opportunity. You know, but life isn't fair. You know, so when it comes down to when you look at minutes and stuff, certain things have to be earned. You know, you have to earn that. You know, now I will treat every kid fair, but I'm not going to treat them equal, because they're not.
Right.
You know, it's just a fact. LeBron is LeBron, and certain guys on the team are who they are, but they're not LeBron. So you don't have to treat them equally, you know, but you have to treat them fairly. So it's not a thing where I'm ever going to make him feel like he gets shoes, he doesn't get shoes.
Right.
No, we all going to get that kind of stuff. You know, we're all going to be treated the same. If you're supposed to be at a certain time, it's the same thing for everybody. Just because you don't play as many minutes doesn't mean you can show up late. But again, when you...
But what if you play all the minutes? What happens if you show up late then?
Well, we wait a little longer. Again, we're going to treat you equally. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, I'll be fair about it. You know, but I mean, and the same thing I'm saying this guy.
You got to employ the honesty. You got to employ the honesty.
I'm going to give you a grace period too. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that some guys' grace periods are a little longer than others. I mean, it is what it is. All kids aren't equal in the classroom. So they're not going to be afforded the same opportunities. Yeah. You know, if I have a 4.0 all the way through, I could probably go to Harvard or Princeton. Yeah, but if you have a 2.3, you're not going there. You're in the same setting. Those colleges aren't going to treat you the same way because you're not on the same level. Same thing with basketball. You know, there's kids that just put in more work. You know, you take a kid like Milton Matthews, right, who's a shooter. Milton Matthews, I didn't teach him how to shoot. I'd be lying if I sat here and told you that, right? Yeah. What I can instill in him is confidence, his knowledge of the game, learning when to shoot and things like that. Milton Matthews just take 3 weeks off and don't touch a basketball. He'll walk in the gym and outshoot over 75% of these guys out here that we call shooters. Some kids are just born with it. Some kids just have it. You know, that knack to just be able to do that. Certain kids can stay in the gym all day. You're not going to shoot like him. Period. I mean, it just is what it is. Yeah. You know, some kids have it, you know. I mean, so, again, when you're, even when you're in that basketball setting, it's something you come across, you know, a lot. And going back to just what you said with players, I mean, you know, typically kids, they'll gravitate to who I'm a player's coach. So I try to have relationships with all my kids outside of basketball. Hey man, how you doing? You eat, everything good? You know, family life okay? Things like that, you know. So it's bigger to me than just can't score the ball. I mean, there's kids that never touch the floor I still talk to, back from the Duval days, you know, things like that. They'll DM me, text me, or anything like that I still even talk to because of the relationships I had, you know. So, but that's something you do get, you know, throughout it. But that recruiting stuff, some guys blame it on assistant coaches. Some guys say they didn't know. I would like it if everybody was honest, but I mean, that's life. Everybody's not going to be in a perfect world.
So I want to ask you about a situation this year, and I don't think this is a touchy subject, but it's interesting. So you guys are playing in the Maryland State tournament at McNamara, right? And it's kind of the end of the game, and you got certain kids on the bench at the end of the game. Parents are giving you hell, talking about why isn't so and so in the game, blah blah blah. How do you deal with situations like that? Obviously, you're making a decision to put what you think are the best players on the court at any given time to win. But when you have situations like that, how do you, like, it's a weird situation to be in, right?
It is.
I mean, it comes with the territory. But how do you deal with that?
It always gets quiet in the gym when they're yelling.
Yeah, right? For damn. That's the only reason I'm asking you, because it was so quiet. I heard every one of them.
It's loud until somebody makes a comment, and then all of a sudden, shh, you don't hear anybody.
So parents' feedback, like, they always think they know more than the coach, right? And they're always going to defend their kid to the end. So how do you deal with that?
So for me, I learned a long time ago not to entertain them. I learned that from a mentor. My assistant coach is great. That's why you have assistants. Right. We have a chain, just like at work. You know, it's a chain of command. You know, you don't agree with what I do, playing time wise, then you talk to Coach Brewer at the time, and then if you don't agree with him, then you talk to Coach Trick. You know, and 9 times out of 10, you don't want to talk to Coach Trick or them, because they're not people person like I am. Yeah. They're not people pleasers. Yeah. So he's going to tell you exactly what I should say, but I can't say because of the position I'm in. So again, I don't listen to them because I've learned a long time. If you coach for them, you never coach a team because everybody's always got an opinion.
Right.
Always.
Right.
You just tune it out. Sometimes it does get disrespectful. I did notice a couple things in the specific game that you said. Even one of the guys was yelling. I'd never seen him in a game before. And I know that I heard some of the other parents try to catch on, and I heard one of the parents' mothers say, "No, shut that up. That's not what we do." See, because she knows what I'm really doing with her children, and she's been to every game.
Right.
So
right.
she didn't even condone it, you know. Whereas, yes, people get out of hand and things like that. And I saw my assistant coach looking over, and I said, "Yo, one more time, he gonna get up and walk over there, and that's gonna be the last I'm gonna hear about it." You know. So
Yeah.
again, you just have to coach your team because it's really unfortunate when parents act like that because it takes away from the game and from the children. You know, I'm not gonna make a decision because you asked me to.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, we won the game.
Right.
If I do what you asked me to do, I lose, then what?
Right.
I never see you ever again, and I'm the one everybody's looking to, like, why'd you make that substitution? Or why'd you make that decision? You know, so if my assistant, with the kind of environment where PG County is the mecca of high school basketball,
Yep.
AAU, so on and so forth, you can't pay him any attention. And all the guys that I've ever talked to, I mean, parents get carried away and things like that, you just tune them out. You have to, because if not, you get distracted, you don't coach your team. And you getting into a jaw-jacking with 1 minute left in the game, and you're in a dog fight, taking away from your kids. Coaches don't get enough credit for what they do. If we win, it's because we have players.
Of course.
If we
Of course.
lose, we can't coach.
Right.
So we're doing this stuff for dang near free.
Yep.
So again, you know, we're at a very difficult position in place. So we really can't listen to what everybody else has to say, regardless how disrespectful and rude it is. Now, if somebody addresses it after the game and you want to talk about it, you know, I'm wondering why you did this and that. Even still, most coaches aren't even going to answer you about that. We'll talk to you about anything other than playing time in basketball, because 9 times out of 10, most parents don't know anything about basketball. Haven't coached the game. If their kid plays the whole game and has 30 points and we lose every game, 90% of parents are okay with that. My kid gets 30, he going to school. Yeah, but what does that say about everybody else?
Right.
You know what I mean? To me,
Right.
so I can't entertain that. And I did hear it. I didn't like it. I don't think anybody that was with the team liked it. I think even my kids were looking at it, trying to figure out whose parents it was. Like, man, chill out. We in a game right now. You know, it's disrespectful. You know, is what it is.
Yeah.
So, but it's a part of the game, and you got to have thick skin. I mean, my mother sits in the stands, and sometimes they don't even know they're sitting right next to her, and they're talking ridiculous. You know, my mother like, let me move before I just slap this guy real quick. You know what I mean? So. Something that comes with it.
Well, thanks. Appreciate that's an interesting one, you know?
Yeah, it was.
And when I was there firsthand, I was, I'm thinking about how does he deal with this, you know? And I'm sure a lot of coaches deal with a lot of stuff that's crazier than that.
Absolutely.
But you don't see it, you know? The public doesn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
It plays out in a different light in the middle of a game when there's a bunch of players and a bunch of fans and the media and everybody sitting around.
Yeah,
so I thought I would.
That was. I forgot you were there too. I'm surprised you heard it, but I guess everybody heard it. Jim
If you were in the gym, you heard it.
Yeah, you heard it, right? And they would just kept going.
If you watch the highlights, I don't even know if it made it.
Yeah,
but
I think we might have heard it on the highlights on top of it. I said, look at it, because it was at a pivotal point in the game.
Oh yeah, it's a minute left.
And they don't know it freezes kids too,
right?
Because the kids stop and start looking at what's going on, and everybody's attention is directed here instead of what's going on.
And in that situation, it also. Like if the coach, so this is the part where it becomes real interesting, right? So let's say mom X is screaming, "Why do you have player X on the bench?" And then it's time to put player X back in, right? Then it almost makes you look like you're listening to the parents.
Yeah, I know.
So that's the part.
Yeah.
That's the biggest part for me is like you have a rotation where maybe you're playing offense, defense. Maybe you only want Milton Matthews in the game on offense because he's your best free throw shooter, but you want James Grosson on defense. Or I'm not saying that's the situation, but I'm making an example, right? So now, like, it's time to put Gross in the game on defense. So now it looks like whoever's parents who are promoting Gross looks like they're getting their way. So then there's like another layer to the whole thing. You know?
It is. And now I definitely don't play him.
Right.
That's when it plays in my head. I'm like, now he's not going to play.
Right.
So
it's like, I'm not giving in.
Yeah, I'm not giving in because then they walk away thinking they won.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, oh, he did what I told him to do. This, that, and the other. So,
exactly.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that. We're just going to coach the game. But you're absolutely correct. They don't understand it. They're actually ruining the kid because if I was about to put him in, you just got his seatbelt buckled on.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. So Covid-19. What are you doing? Do you have much interaction with your players?
Yes, actually. So I just told myself I have had actual more actions with the seniors
Okay.
and speaking with them
Who are trying to.
who are trying to get to school.
Yeah.
Obviously, Delani Hunt just signed with Wagner.
Yep. Yep.
That was a big one for us. He had multiple places, but it was very difficult on him because he can't. They're not allowed to take their visits. They set up a virtual tour for him.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
So how does that? They just go on FaceTime and walk around?
They can't go on there. They had the IT people set up something like that.
Oh wow.
Where they go through and do an animated virtual tour of the university. A lot of universities are trying to do that now if they have a budget for it, because that's the best you can get for the kids now if they haven't already been there. And in an unfortunate situation like my kids who were like, well, let's wait. And part of it was, hey man, we're going to Alhambra.
Right.
There's going to be a boat ton of coaches down there. You probably going to get something you didn't even have.
Right.
Because if you show off against any of those teams down there, all you need is one.
Yeah.
You know, somebody offer you. But again, they waited. We got to the point where we were on our way, you know.
Let's talk about that real quick. So the team, who backed out last minute? The team from Canada?
Melbourne, I think.
Is that a
Melbourne
Canadian
Prep.
team, or-
No, they were from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Philadelphia somewhere.
So how much notice do you get that you guys have an invite?
So for us, it was like
a day or two?
Yeah, maybe a day or two.
And how
We
elated
just won
are
the
you?
Maryland State Private School.
Right.
And that's when they called, like
And-
the next day.
But it's still an honor. I mean, even though you weren't the 8, I mean, technically you probably weren't in the running for the 8 because
Right.
you don't fit whatever their criteria is.
Catholic schools.
Right.
Got to be a Catholic school.
Right.
So,
but to be like the number one, I don't know if you call it runner up or whatever, but the number one
I'll
choice,
take
yeah, that's
take
an
it.
honor because there's tons of other schools who I'm sure would have been the number one.
Man, you name them.
Yeah.
National,
Right.
River. Just name the ones in the area.
Right.
Not including they can get anybody in the country. And they could have got another Catholic school.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
very
yeah,
well
yeah,
could
yeah,
have.
Yeah.
You know, it was so again, we didn't even look at it like that. We were just excited to go because that's something that in the beginning of the year, when the kids brought it up, you know, we start off, we play a tough enough schedule where we're honestly aiming for Geico. We're not worried about it around here. We got enough top 10, 15 guys on the team that's pretty much where we're looking. Is it even playing?
Yep.
Oh yeah. So
We got like 10 minutes left.
okay. Yeah, so we're not, you know, when it goes to that, our goal in the beginning is Geico. And I recruit kids, that's one of the selling points. Now, some people say it's not realistic, but why isn't? You know, we beat St. Benedict's. They finished top 15 in the country.
Yeah.
So we're playing, we play Oak Hills, we play the Sunrise, we playing enough guys. All we got to do is win some of them.
Right.
You know, so again, that's the thought in the beginning. You know, you lose a couple games here and there, it becomes unrealistic. But again, then you just change your sights and focus towards other things. Now, at the beginning of the year, I actually heard that Alhambra was looking to actually invite other schools.
Right.
So
And they did, right?
they
St.
did.
Stephen's, St.
They
Agnes.
did.
Yep.
I inquired about it early on.
Okay.
And whether or not they paid me any attention was one thing, but I asked the people I was supposed to say, you know, well, just consider us. You know, I don't know what the criteria is. I know you got to win. They're not going to invite anybody with an upside down record.
Right.
That's for sure.
Right.
So I'm like, you know, just consider us for it. And we just went along playing. And when I got the call, you know, I waited till we got to workouts to tell the kids, and I should have filmed that because they went crazy, you know, just being invited to that because they thought we were preparing for the league.
Right.
You know, and when those guys got to know that, they went bananas. You know, what? You know, so again.
The best curveball you could get, huh?
What? Yeah. I mean, and you think 60 years they've done it and never had an outside team in?
Right.
You know, so just to be invited was still an honor to us.
So did you go physically go up there?
We were leaving that morning.
So you hadn't gone up there?
We hadn't left.
Because some teams had gone up there.
Yeah, that we were supposed to go the night before, and I told them I'm gonna let my guys stay, rest another night before I take them down to the hotel. Because we could have went on that Wednesday.
Yep.
Game started Thursday, and they asked me, said, "Look, man, we got your rooms taken care of. You can come tonight." And I said, "Well, I wasn't even thinking about COVID-19. I was just thinking let them rest, stay home before they get in the hotels, and that kind of stuff before we leave." And because we just finished playing the Maryland State Private School Championship, 3 games in a row.
Yeah.
So we go, and I get the call, and I talked to the guy that night, and he says, "We're still on. We're still on." That Wednesday night, I asked him.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
everything
the
moved.
kids
I mean,
moved
everything
so
was
fast.
on. Everything. Yep. Same thing with Maryland Publix.
Yeah.
I mean, they were on until literally Polly was on the
their
bus
way
to
down.
go to the first semifinal. Yeah.
Got a call, and they said, "Man, you know, when the NBA canceled that night, that's why I called the guy back and said, listen, the NBA canceled. Are you still having the games?" And the guy says, "Yeah, well, you know, we're still having the games." I get ready to go. We get all the kids together, stuff packed. My bag was packed, stuff in the car. I get the call, man. hate to tell you, we're not gonna be able to have it this year. I said, well, can't we just get an automatic bid for next year? You know what I mean? Like, can we just...
Wait, did I not hear a rumor that they were inviting teams back? But it might. I thought I heard something to the effect. Maybe I didn't hear the full story, but.
So, I don't know how they're gonna do it. I mean, obviously, I'm sure everybody's still gonna have to do well. I mean, the WCAC one, I don't know how they would do it because those teams are definitely, you gotta, like, how they win their selection process to get there.
Right.
I think it's the automatic league winner, and then maybe whoever wins the WCAC or something like that, because St. John's didn't make it this year, but they made it the year before.
Right.
So, I'm not exactly sure how they pick them, but I do know. I just say, can we come back? I'll make sure we win some games. Just let us get back on that.
Right.
And I mean, the guy was like, yeah, we'll definitely see. We won't forget, what you were trying to do, and that's another. Because again, it was so last minute. I think when that team dropped out, they were kind of like, okay, well, who can we get that will be a formidable, opponent?
Right.
Somebody that's not just gonna sit down here and probably get blown out every night, which could conceivably still happen.
Yeah.
But I was happy they called. I spoke to the guys that ran it, the priests, so on and so forth. And it seems like an outstanding thing. I see why everybody goes every year. I mean, we were prepared to do the mass and so on and so forth and everything. I thought it was a great experience for my guys.
So we got a couple minutes left.
Yeah.
You lose a bunch of dudes this year.
Yeah.
Real quick, run through who you lose. You lose Delani, you lose Gross, you lose Matthews.
I lose Delani, I lose Milton, I lose
Gross is back?
Gross is a junior.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I ain't that bad.
Wow.
I got four coming back.
Man.
As far as I know.
Okay.
Okay. So I lose the twins. I lose Kyrie.
Yeah.
Milton, D'Lo.
So you got Zakir, Willie,
James
Gross.
I'm missing somebody else. Why can't I think?
So you got four coming back.
Yeah, I did.
Obviously, you got your work cut out. You need to recruit.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How do you think COVID recruits your recruiting? How does that trickle down work?
You know what? It's rough because I can't get out to see people.
Yeah.
But it might actually work in my favor because that means the heavy hitters, the math and PV, I can't see them either. So if it's like somebody they haven't heard about yet, whereas I can get the kid to commit and make a decision before, the big boys get involved, because those are your Carolinas and your Dukes. They can come in Kansas. They can come in last minute and get kids.
What about transfers? So I hear a lot of chatter out there that maybe some of the more expensive private schools, because of the financial fallout of COVID, maybe kids that aren't on scholarship, because contrary to what a lot of people think, there's a lot of basketball players that aren't on scholarship in private schools.
That's true.
Because of the financial fallout, you may not be able to afford a $25,000 education, $30,000 education. I have no idea what it costs to go to Rock Creek, but
approximately 9,000.
Okay.
Yeah,
so are you able to leverage that? Are you able to go to some of these private schools that cost $25,000 and say, if you can't afford it, maybe I got a spot for you here? How active are you in that facet of the recruiting?
Well, now that you just mentioned it, I'm going to go back to the drawing board because that sounds like a great pitch you just gave me right there. So I would just replay this video when I'm sitting in front of parents and saying, and now to Mark. This is what we're saying. I just want you to watch this presentation. Yes, I know financial times are hard, and Rock Creek will make it happen. So yes,
but for real, I'm sure you've thought about that. I mean, I'm
absolutely.
sure.
Absolutely.
So is that something are you about to look at all the rosters out there? Are you going to price schools out, see who's expensive?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I got to find out who's paying what, and what can make the most sense. Because for parents, that always is a big thing. I mean, we still are a private school, so it's not like I'm saying bring your kid to
a public
school and you don't have the same academics and things like that. It's still a private school, so yes, that will be part of my selling point. And that's somehow I get some kids because I can say, okay, you're paying $8,000 for St. John's. Well, maybe you can come over here and pay a little less. And maybe I'm closer to your home. You live in PG. Maybe you don't want to drive to Northwest or Southwest or so on and so forth, or to Bullis or whatever it may be, and you're paying so and so much to go to school. So, I mean, I have to use every niche that I can to figure that the basketball sells itself. I mean, I think we've been fortunate enough and blessed enough that we've done enough in 2 years with me being there that you can kind of see the route that we're going. We're not going to take a step back and play easier games. That's not how I coach. That's not how we operate, So for us, we're going to still play the best. You're going to still get exposure. I don't think there was one tournament out here that we weren't in. Like one legitimate tournament that was a showcase that we weren't a part of.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, we try to make it to all that we can. You know, people have been really nice to us as far as allowing us to come in, but they know we're gonna compete.
Right.
You know, and we've dropped some games we should have won in some of those. So this year, I just changed the recruiting antics up a little differently. Last year, I went 9 deep. This year, I may not go as deep.
So you mentioned before your friend who said you have a tendency to stay places too long, right? So how long is too long? There's other private school jobs open right now who are part of what you called a minute ago the Dukes and Carolina leagues.
Right.
That are open.
Right.
What, like, how do you play that? Like, you want to be loyal to everyone who's come to play at you at Rock Creek, but you always want to have the next opportunity for yourself open too.
Yeah, you have to make sense out of it. I learned from one of my mentors who's at Cincinnati, and he made a valid point. He said, you know, if it's a life-changing experience, you have to go. You know, if it's not a life-changing experience, it's a lateral movement, then you might as well stay where you are. But if it's a decision that is a potential position or spot that can change your life or your program,
right,
it may be worth it. So if any coach says he wouldn't entertain any other jobs, he's lying. That's any coach. That's high school, that's college, whatever the case may be. But I think you just take it day-by-day basis. I mean, because we never know what jobs are going to be open up. And you don't know if it's the right fit for you. You can go on an interview and hear everything they have to say, and then they tell you this is based strictly on academics, and we're not going to help you get the kids in. Well, as prestigious as that school may be, that might not be the best fit, you know, because they don't really care about wins and losses as much. You know, they just want to keep the academics up. And it happens. I've been on interviews where I was told that. So, again, it just has to make sense. I'm not actively looking right now. I'm prepared to reload, you know, is one of the slogans we have that we use, you know. We don't rebuild, we reload. So now I'm going out here trying to find the best available. So if it's kids that are available and you want to be a part of Rock Creek, DM me, email me, talk to my coaches. We'll figure it out.
This guy.
For sure.
Two more questions before we get you out of here. Number one, there's a draft right now, and every high school in the DMV is part of this draft, and you have the number 1 overall pick to pick any player in the DMV to come to Rock Creek. You can't pick one of your own guys. Who's your number 1 pick?
He's an 8th grader or just high school?
No. He's in high school now.
High school right now?
But not a senior. Someone who's going to be back for high school next year.
Who am I going to get?
Yeah.
This is a tough one. Man, there's so many good players. That's coming back next year?
It's coming back next year.
I got two. I got two. And I already got the nucleus I have now. I'm picking up 1 or 2 horses. Trevor might not like me, but I'm going to get Jakai. Because if I had Jakai with Zah and James and those guys, I'll be fine. Him or Jordan.
Yeah.
Jordan. Those are the 2 I'm looking at. Actually, you know what? I'm going to be honest. I probably do need, let me recant that. I'm going to probably get favors.
Yeah? You need a big?
Favors. I need a footer. I'm going to get a footer. No disrespect anybody else. That's what I'm going to get.
All right. Last question I got to ask you. Why are you ducking the Capital Hoops Summer League, man?
So, the way Rock Creek is set up, the way Rock
Here we
is,
go.
I take a break in the summer. I take a break,
He's thinking of something.
I don't come back out until live period because y'all don't understand. I'm bald now, chasing these kids year round like this. Y'all give me no.
You can have an assistant coach the team. A lot of teams do that.
But then I'm asking them to work. They want breaks too. They're with me from tap to finish.
Sounds like a ducker. Sounds like a ducker.
We'll revisit that. I will revisit that this year.
Coach, we stay 5 feet away.
5 feet.
Appreciate the time. 6 feet. 6 feet.
6 feet.
Appreciate the time.